NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
We know how.
There's a lot of rumbling near the Salton Sea, where the USGS is reporting 700 earthquakes hit there in the past 24 hours, some felt in San Diego. It's what they call an earthquake swarm, and we're hearing about it from people who live there. Thanks for joining us for the Nightly Check-In. I'm Catherine Garcia. So here's a look at a map showing how many earthquakes hit the Imperial Valley in the last 24 hours. The biggest was a magnitude 4.9. The U.S. Geological Survey says a swarm means there has not been a main shock followed by aftershocks. These are all individual earthquakes. Alice Rosas and Justina Cruz work for the city of Westmoreland. That's about 2.5 miles south of where the earthquake swarm has been centered. And as you can imagine, folks like the two ladies are a bit uneasy right now.
It would hit with a jolt, but then it would go a shaking motion. And you could feel the house. I could hear the house snapping and hear it sounds like it was gonna, my husband kept thinking, is it gonna come down on us, because it was very strong.
Local geology expert Dr. Pat Abbott says there is no reason to be too alarmed, though. He says it's all part of the area's geological setting, which is essentially the ocean floor. He expects the swarm to continue for several days. The county is making it easier for school staff and employees to get tested for coronavirus as schools start to reopen. Today, San Diego County opened its first school site testing centers. While it is a walk-up process, individual school districts will be communicating with staff about who should get tested first. The nasal swab test itself takes just about 30 seconds. The first two sites open today in Chula Vista and San Diego, with North and East County centers opening tomorrow and Monday. Meantime, in Poway, thousands of elementary students went back to the classroom. 10 elementary schools in the Poway Unified School District started in-person learning today. The remaining 16 elementary schools in that district will bring students back after next week. One local parent we spoke with says she's looking forward to that in-person instruction because distance learning has been a challenge.
I'm nervous, I'm a little apprehensive, but I'm definitely excited. I trust that they are doing everything in their power to keep it safe.
The district provided this video showing some of the precautions they're taking. Masks will be mandatory, desks are spread out, and even have plexiglass on them. Students will be split into morning and afternoon groups to keep class sizes smaller. Poway also plans to use outdoor learning whenever possible. The suffocating heat is blanketing San Diego, as you know, prompting an excessive heat warning, and that warning's now been extended to Friday. Temperatures in the East County once again reached triple digits today. Let's check in with Dagmar Midcap for a look at when this heat wave will be over.
Looking at your Friday, you will still continue to feel the heat as well as the low relative humidity conditions. So for that excessive heat warning in the inland valleys, that expires Friday tonight at 8 p.m. The heat advisory already feeling better along the coast. There you will see temperatures in that mid-80 mark. That heat advisory expired Thursday, ending up seeing the mountains, or the inland valleys rather, at temperatures reaching close to what the mountains will feel. So that's that mid to upper 90 mark. So still hot in Julian, and ending up seeing those deserts at the 106, 7, and 8 marks. So still hot, still dry out there as we head into the weekend, but don't worry about it. Looking way out there into next work week, it's going to feel a whole lot better.
NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. We know how.
Drains clogged or slow? Call Bill Howe today. Whether you need a routine drain cleaning or something more, Bill Howe can solve all your plumbing needs. For a limited time, we'll clear your drains for $82.
1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. Because we know how.
An emotional tribute in Las Vegas today, 3 years after a gunman opened fire during an outdoor music concert, killing 60 people, including San Diegans. A crowd gathered today to pay tribute to the families affected by the shooting and to thank the first responders who helped. We learned that 2 women died this year from injuries they suffered in that shooting, raising the death toll from 58 to 60. Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo said memories from that horrible day remain fresh.
3 years have passed since I stood before you and the public and spoke about the worst human loss in the community and the United States has ever known at the hands of a single suspect. The thoughts of that tragic night and its aftermath still bring back painful emotions. The shock and the confusion. It does not fade from one's memory.
Again, several San Diegans were among those people killed. More than 500 people were hurt. Well, this that you're looking at here is the moment San Diego Loyal players walked off the field in the middle of their match last night to take a stand against hateful speech. Last night, the team says a player from the Phoenix Rising directed a homophobic slur at one of their players. Coach Landon Donovan says he asked the refs and the other team to send the player off the field. When that didn't happen, Donovan said, if they're not willing to act, we will.
I understand that most people watching from afar probably don't really get it, but we've been living it. And we made a vow to ourselves, to our community, to our players, to the club, to USL, that we would not stand for bigotry, homophobic slurs, things that don't belong in our game.
This is the second time Loyal SC has walked off the field in protest. The first was just last week when a player from the LA Galaxy 2 used a racial slur aimed at one of the Loyal's black players. Before we sign off, our On Friar team is releasing a new podcast episode following tonight's Padres wild card game against the Cardinals. Tune in by searching On Friar in any podcast streaming platform. That's going to do it for our nightly check-in. Have a good night.